So it's first thing in the morning, getting ready to go to the church, get busy. Got a lot of stuff going on, so see if I can get there and see if we can do some cool stuff. I got some stuff I want to talk to you about today. It's going to be good. So I'm waiting for my car to defrost. This morning it seems as if that Frosty the Snowman came to visit or something. So anyway, haven't tested my audio, so I hope the audio's good on this thing. But yeah, fine car. I drive a Prius. People ask me that. Do you drive a Prius? I drive a Prius. It's my daughter's car. She got a new one. I started driving it, and there's just something intoxicating about getting 50 miles to the gallon in a car that's paid for. It's kind of, I don't know, I go places and I feel like I stole something. It's kind of cool. So anyway, I want to talk to you about a few different things, but one of the things I want to discuss with you today is the issue of depression. And I've got a big announcement. I'm going to share that about my book here in just a minute, and some things that are going on with that. But one of the things that I'm beginning to realize is the heavy weight that depression is putting on us. Let me turn off this climate thing here. Hold on. And anyway, nonetheless, I just feel like that we're at a place where, as a community and as a culture, we're dealing with a lot of heavy situations. I think for some of us, it's the loss of the life that we feel like we used to have. I mean, when you look at our holidays and they're social distanced or whatever, and you're not able to see people, or even worse, we have people in our church that I'm ministering to and talking to and working with right now that the truth is that they have family members that have died, and then there's the fear of someone getting sick. And in our house, we were just talking about it this morning, when one of us gets sick, how do we quarantine? Because of the kind of work that we do around people, we have to be uber careful because we could affect multiple people. And so anyway, there's a lot pressing on people. And so what I want to do is I want to talk to you today about depression, and I want to talk a little bit about how that folds into this book that I've written, and why that I believe that God delayed this book for about 3 years to right now, because I believe this is an important time that we're living in. So anyway, let me get to work and let's talk a little bit more about that and see if we can figure some other things out. So let's deal with a little bit with depression, and I'm just going to go from the first chapter of my book. As some of you know, my book was just released, More Than Happy, and for 3 years, y'all, just to give you a little bit of insight about this, for 3 years I worked to try to get this book done, and one thing after another. I had someone edit the book one time, and they just didn't finish the editing, and then I put it down for a little bit, went back to them and talked to them about the editing. They said they deleted all the files. It was all gone. I had someone else edit the book for me, and they did a great job with it, but we couldn't finish it at that point. One thing after another with this book, just was dealing with one thing after another, trying to get this thing done. And anyway, it makes sense now, and that's how God's plan works, is that it doesn't make sense at the time, but it makes sense now. I look back now and I'm like, okay, this is a time when people really need to have this real clear vision of hope and that kind of understanding. The other part of the book that took me a little bit of time to come to grips with was me being willing to share the dirty underbelly of struggles that I have with different things, and whether it was being anxiety filled or depression. And those things, I would love to say that they don't exist at all in my life, but they do. It's just that what this journey's given me is practices that I've put in place that I go back to, and I constantly look at and reinstitute and go, okay, yeah, but wait a second. Let's go back to what our purpose is. Let's go back to what God said. Let's go back to His Word. But I want to talk to you a little bit about depression, because I feel like there's a lot of people dealing with it and struggling with it. Here's what's funny. Depression has such a stigma. Anxiety has such a stigma with it that what happens is, even when people come to me and they say, hey, Scott, I want to tell you about what's going on in my life, what they do is they'll go, hey, I was struggling with some of the same things. That's what they'll say. And why do we do that?
Why do we whisper? Because we're embarrassed. I mean, just to be quite honest with you, we're in a place where we're like, I'm not supposed to have depression. Now, I don't ever have anybody whisper when they break their leg and go, hey, I broke my leg. My leg's broke. It's broken. I don't know what to do with my broken leg. No one says that. No one whispers when they have, heart disease. Oh, I got arteries that are clogged up and I don't know what to do with those. Nobody whispers, but we whisper when it comes to anxiety and depression and those kind of things. And that creates this environment where we keep secrets. I mean, that's the issue. Our issue is that we're keeping secrets, and we're even keeping secrets from ourselves, that we really have a struggle that we need to talk to somebody about. And early on, it's not as bad as later. So the quicker, we've learned this with cancer, the quicker something is detected and the quicker we get help, the quicker we go for treatment, the quicker we understand what we're up against, the better off our odds are of overcoming it. Depression's like that too. The longer you live with it, the longer you cope with it, the longer you try to hide it and keep it tucked away, the more rooted in it gets into your life. And so earlier's better. That's just a better thing. And so the first step for me, and I really outlined this in the first chapter, was that I had to admit and confess that I've really got this issue. I'm struggling with some anxiety. I'm struggling with some fear. I'm struggling with some stuff going on in my life. Stress had brought me to a point to where I could feel it in my body, y'all. I mean, literally. I know that sounds crazy, but I could feel it. And I was like, this is what it feels like probably for somebody who's going to have a heart attack. This is what it feels like. And so I struggled with it. And it was really the first step for me was getting to that place where I just had to go, hey, I need to talk to somebody. And my journey started with the first person I told it to was my doctor. I went to my doctor and my expectation was to get some medicine. And so anyway, I was like, don't they have like these, where's the happy pills at? Or how much are those happy pills? I want to get a dozen of those, please, a day. And he said, man, that's not what you need. And he sat down and talked to me probably 45 minutes. How many people have a doctor that does that? My doctor is Chris Cobb. And we sat and talked for the longest time. He listened. We talked back and forth, and it was great, And that was the first point where I was like, hey, you know what? There's a process to this. I would love for this just to have a quick solution, but there's going to be a process because at every corner in your life, there's going to be another anxiety. There's going to be another conflict, and I hate conflict. I hate conflict with people, and I hate dealing with conflicts with contracts. I hate dealing with trying to overcome adversity. Nobody enjoys those things, and I didn't either. But it was adversely giving me like serious depression. And so what I realized is that God needed to hear from me that I acknowledged that this was what was going on. The Bible tells us a lot about confession. And it talks about confessing our sin and talking to God about it. And the reason why the Bible tells us that is because if I don't come before God with my sin opened up and me going, hey God, here's me, here's what I've got going on. If God accepts me coming before Him and pretending like, hey, I've got this together, everything's good, God, don't worry about it, I've got this, just bless me. If God were to respond to that, and if He were to bless me in that place, then what I would further believe is that the only way God can accept me is when I wear my mask. And God's not willing to accept us with our mask on. He wants us to know that we are good in front of Him with our bumps, wrinkles, and problems and issues. And so one of the first steps, and I believe it's a very raw step, of overcoming anxiety and depression in your life is just coming to this place where you go, hey man, I've got an issue and I've got to first and foremost go before God and say, hey God, I'm struggling with these feelings, I'm struggling with this fear, and I want to bring it before you, and I want to open up this ongoing conversation with you, and I want to talk with you about what's going on. Paul says we should pray continually. Prayer is like medicine. It's like food. You're not going to eat one meal today and not have to eat tomorrow. Prayer is an ongoing spiritual nourishment that constantly fortifies our soul. And while we keep talking to God and keep bringing these things before God, sometimes we get the wrong idea that I'm supposed to pray about this and I'm praying for an answer and I'm persistent because I want to answer it. That's true. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I want to say is that when you get in your mind that my prayer is directly connected to whether I get an answer or not, that's where you're missing the boat. You're going to miss the boat because the problem is if God answers, then you cut off the conversation. The conversation isn't supposed to be cut off. The conversation is supposed to be ongoing. And so when it comes to fear, anxiety, depression, pressure, decisions, hard decisions. Bad news came in. How do I deal with it? I deal with it with this, first of all, raw honesty. I'm gonna be honest with God. I'm gonna be honest with myself, and I'm gonna be honest with other people. And I'm gonna tell God how I feel. And I'm just going to come before Him, and I'm going to consistently be in that conversation that brings medicine to my soul. I'm going to constantly talk to God. I'm going to share it with somebody else. Y'all listen, when it comes to depression, there's a lot of levels of depression. There's a lot of reasons for it. But when we're talking about the most common types of depression where, your life is pressure-filled, things are going wrong, stuff's not going good in your life, and you're really having a hard time coping with, the pressures of the day, talking to God about it and then talking to someone else about it is important. We don't talk to other people because we want to keep it a secret. Pride makes us do that. It made me do that for years. And I lived in like this real funk because I didn't want to tell anybody what was going on. And that's too bad. Because the freedom that I get to experience is, is being able to confess it. So I'm just going to leave you with this. What you need to do, I'm going to encourage you to get my book. That's number one. That's not because I'm trying to make money off of a book or anything like that. It really, my greatest desire is for this book to help a lot of different people. I pray that we get to a place where we can just give it away. That's what I'm looking forward to. But it's expensive to write a book, and so I've got to pay some bills off that we ran up to write the book. But I really want it to be in your hands. One of the things that I love to see happen is people get a book, invite somebody else to get a book, and I love to hear the life change stories. That's the best part of this whole deal is and I'm hearing it over and over. And it's so many guys. It's so funny that we guys, man, we're so funny. I got guys texting me going, "Hey, man, dude, I've been struggling with the same thing," or they'll with a hushed voice, "Man, I've got that thing too, man. I've been struggling with that too," and I'm glad. But we need to get to where we can talk about it. We really do. We all do, and that's the only way we're going to overcome. We got to be honest with God. Take that mask off. We got to be honest with each other. So let me say this final thing. There will be a link in the description that'll take you to the book where it's for sale on Amazon. We're going to be writing a Bible study real soon. There's going to be some really cool devotionals that we're going to release first of the year during the Daniel fast. And we're going to give you 21 days of devotionals for the More Than Happy, but we're going to have a 12-step Bible study program to the More Than Happy life. That's going to be released soon, but right now the book's available. And I'm going to tell you, I really believe it'll bless you. And I just encourage you to get it and let's talk about it. I'm over the next little bit, I'm going to change a few things on this YouTube channel. Quite frankly, and this is kind of one of the announcements, I'm going to change some things. I'm going to be a lot more I'm just going to kind of shoot videos like this. I don't have time to edit and put together really cool, trendy stuff, and I may do some teaching videos like I did and then I may include it as part of my life. I don't know. The YouTube channel is going to be morphing over the next little bit, but I just want to bring you along with me on this journey that we're on. And so I'm just going to encourage you to get the book, check it out. I think it's going to help you find some things, and I'll be posting some stuff way more consistently than I have been because it's going to be a little bit more raw. So anyway, God bless you. Till next time I see you, I pray that God just blesses your socks off, and I pray that you find that happy life, the more than happy life that God designed you to live. So God bless you.